And Brandon, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Not quite as impactful as the first.
All righty here. So good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get us set up here. Screen. Get the right screen. Share the correct screen. That'll help. All right. Just a moment. Go ahead and admit. All right. So you guys should be able to see my screen now, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. So good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing virtual meetup. My name is Chris Price. I'm the host of the meetup, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Red Fox Multifamily, which is a Boost Capital Group company. And I'll get into that in a little bit more. But tonight, we are joined by Mr. Branden Claisse, he's going to have a topic for us to speak about raising capital for top syndicators via a turnkey SPV fund of funds. So I'm super excited for everyone to be able to come and learn about this awesome tool, which I'm actually very experienced with, and I'll share that in a little bit when I introduce Branden in a little bit more detail. But before we do that, let me first give you a little bit of information about us. So the Wealth Mindset and Real Estate Investing Meetup is a meetup that is open to all who are invested in growing generational wealth through passive real estate investing and increasing their financial intelligence. This meetup is for the busy professionals and retirees across various industries. The individuals in the group make a good living and have discretionary income to invest in real estate for its proven wealth building power, but don't have the time, skill set, or network to do it at speed and at scale. This meetup focuses on helping us all grow our wealth mindset by learning how to build and preserve wealth while developing and maintaining an abundance mindset. This meetup will focus on multifamily real estate investing as well as other proven ways to build wealth through real estate through passive investments. And this meetup is sponsored by Red Fox Multifamily. Red Fox Multifamily, which is a Boost Capital Group company now, helps busy professionals, especially those from the pharmaceutical and life sciences industry, diversify their portfolios and add passive income and get all of the other perks of real estate investing without having to do any of the work themselves. Red Fox Multifamily partners with passive investors to buy commercial multifamily real estate based on vetted opportunities we get access to from our trusted network of top operators in the best markets throughout the country. Partnering with us makes investing in real estate completely hands-off, allowing investors to add passive income, build equity, and save on taxes, all while being an investment vehicle that is backed by a hard asset. So thank you for that brief commercial break there. Just a little bit of a rundown on the logistics for tonight. So if you're not speaking, just to keep the background noise down, please mute your lines when you're not speaking. Please hold your questions to the end of the presentation unless the speaker invites you to throw your questions in there. It's likely that your question will be answered throughout the presentation, but of course, if it's not and it's something that's burning, feel free to use the features in the chat to raise your hand or type your question in the chat, and we'll monitor that or take yourself off mute if you need to. This material, by the way, before I go there, note that this presentation is being recorded, as I mentioned before. So if you do not wish to be recorded, you may leave, and then we can certainly we'll circulate the recording of this meeting at a later date, and you'll be able to access it on our YouTube channel. This material does not constitute an offer or solicitation to purchase a security, and this is information only and should not be construed as business, financial, or legal advice. And for those of you who I have not had an opportunity to connect with, I love to connect with people, other investors, active investors, passive investors. Reach out to me. Love to build relationships. That's what this business is all about. You can scan the QR code, or you can email me at chris@redfoxmultifamily.com. And then finally, in terms of our agenda today, we're going to do this. I'm going to introduce Branden in a little bit more detail here in a moment. He's going to provide a presentation, an overview for everyone of their the platform that from Tribevest, and we're going to have a Q&A session, and if time permits, we'll have a little bit of time for some virtual networking. But without further ado, let me take a brief moment to introduce you to Branden. So I had the pleasure of getting connected through Branden to Branden and to the rest of the Tribevest team through an opportunity where a sponsor that I have been partnered up with was introducing a new fund of fund program for some of the capital raisers in their network. And this was a new program at the time, but it was very intriguing to me as someone who has been in the real estate, commercial real estate space for some time now. One of the ways that I've been looking at over the past several months, it was a way to scale my business, and scaling from a syndication perspective as someone who focuses on the capital raising aspects and investor relations, while also being a busy professional with the career and other and family man and all the other responsibilities. I was finding, my time being spread very thin through different areas. But looking at, the fund of funds model, one of the things that I focused on was that business model was something that was really interesting to me in terms of how I could scale my business, and partner with the best operators and have a vehicle, a tool to be able to help me effectively do that and focus on the thing that I'm really passionate about, which is connecting with investors, educating them on this amazing investment space that we have here to share information about passive real estate investing, and being able to do it through either in this case, through a fund of funds. And so Branden's going to talk to us a lot about this tonight, and I know that you all are really excited about it. I am. But let me just get into a little bit about Branden. I'm sure he'll touch on this a little bit more, but he's passionate about prop tech and fintech and real estate investing, and his journey revolved around nurturing early and growth stage startups. And he brings a mix of strategic finesse and market savvy to the table, navigating ever exciting challenges of the dynamic industries. From crafting innovative financial technologies to fine-tuning property tech solutions, he thrives on turning ideas into success. He is a seasoned leader. He's embraced the startup roller coaster ride. I love that. Infusing a blend of vision and practicality into every venture. So let's just say, he's got a knack for making waves and fostering growth in these vibrant, ever evolving sectors. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Branden to share his presentation with us. So Branden, thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you having me. And yeah, as Chris mentioned, we've worked together in the past. Chris has experienced, Tribevest and our SPV fund-to-fund offering. And for those of you who don't know Chris personally, he's an absolute pleasure to work with. And I'd highly encourage anyone, if you're just looking for advice, or if you're looking to, find an opportunity to invest in, definitely connect with Chris. Just again, absolute pleasure to work with, talk to, and so couldn't say more on that front. You won't be disappointed. So
Thank you, Branden.
Yeah, 100%, and that's genuine, and I appreciate you having me here. Excited to talk to you all and answer any questions that you have. As Chris said, yeah, I've been in the startup world for a long time in a couple different sectors, but recently, over the last 6-7 years, really in the real estate world, both in prop tech as well as fintech. So I'm very familiar with real estate investing, the multifamily space, as well as a bunch of different asset classes. And so, yeah, again, excited to talk to you all. I'm going to dive into this presentation because I think it'll help kind of guide us and give us some structure, and then happy to answer any questions that you all have. Feel like, as Chris said, we can do. I'm flexible, but if it's likely your questions will get answered, but and so we can do a Q&A at the end. But if something's burning or not clear, feel free to put it in the chat, and Chris, I'll just let you monitor that and let me know if something's building up and unclear, then we'll pause and answer any questions anyone has.
You got it.
Cool. Now, here's the challenging part.
So to share, are you using the web browser or the app?
No, I've got the app. I might be fine here.
Okay.
Oh, I think the thing is I need to get my, there it is. Now let's see. Now, are you just seeing my
We
screen?
got you. Yeah, we can see the slides.
Nice and clean, not a lot of going on. Cool. All right. So yeah, we're going to be talking today about SPV fund of funds and why they're safe, turnkey, and scalable. So we'll dive in here. So a little bit about Tribevest, and I'm the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships for Tribevest. So I partner, do partnerships with lead sponsors, operators, syndicators across multiple asset classes. Also spend a lot of time talking to fund managers like Chris and probably some of you that are out there. We also do a lot with all the masterminds, influencers, and multiple other people that are in this space. I just got back from Raise Fest, which some of you may or may not been a part of out in Phoenix. And frankly, the fund of fund was the topic of that event, right? And so that was a multi-day event, multiple lead sponsors there, multiple fund managers, capital raisers there, and everyone was talking about fund of funds. So this is very much a hot topic right now. And just to kind of give context before I jump in, I think we've just seen over the last year a migration, a lot of other ways to raise capital were happening. Co-GP, people paying marketing fees, finders fees, and lots of stuff that just doesn't scale or gets you into kind of some gray areas with the SEC. As Chris said, I love, none of what we're talking about is legal or financial advice, just kind of from our perspective, how we see the world. But I think our chief legal officer and others would agree that a lot of people were playing in some gray areas when it came to capital raising over the last few years. And I think everyone knows that the fund-to-fund model is the way to go. And now I think, Tribevest in particular has really helped make this, again, safe, turnkey, and scalable. So we'll get into that. And let's talk a little bit about Tribevest, right? So Tribevest was founded, I actually helped create the business back in 2018. We actually launched our platform in 2019. And what we built was the collaborative and banking infrastructure for the private investing world, right? And so what that means, and again, just want to separate, before we get into the SPV fund of fund is this offering sits on the backbone of our platform, right? And so I want to establish kind of what our platform does first, so everyone's clear on that, because it's really important to why we can make this so safe, turnkey, and scalable. So this platform that we created, again, launched in 2019, made it really easy for groups of investors to come together, friends, family, colleagues, to come together, create a joint venture, file an LLC. And I want to get into kind of the details here because I usually don't have time to do it, but our platform is integrated with all 50 states, right? So we can seamlessly file an LLC and create an entity in a matter of days. So that's really important, and it just kind of plays into why we can do this so seamlessly. We have a full banking infrastructure baked into our platform as well. So once we get your articles of organization together, we open a bank account for you instantaneously. So a business bank account, FDIC insured, open on our platform instantaneously after you have your articles of organization that we do for you, right? So super important. For any of you out there that have gone through, have filed an LLC and then gone down to Chase Bank and told them that you've got a multi-member LLC and you'd like to open a bank account, it doesn't happen instantaneously. And they might ask you to have everyone come down to the bank and sign some things. And I apologize, I'm kind of looking back and forth because I've got you guys over here and my screen over here. So apologize for that. But it's
May I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So just at a very high level, is the platform, I'm trying to see if I belong on this call. That's what I'm trying to do. So at a very high level, so personally, I put together private deals, right? I've already got all that infrastructure in place. So we've raised money, we've done a number of syndications. What I was looking to understand is, can your platform be used for as a let's call it a marketplace for folks like myself? Like, so let's say I'm raising $10 million, and I say, look, I could probably easily get the first 6, but the last 4 gets harder. So can I plug into your platform and have people have their fund of funds plug into my syndication? How does that work? Or am I in the wrong place?
No, so it's not a crowdfunding platform, right? So it's not a marketplace like that. So for us, it would be if you have maybe LPs that have graduated to becoming a capital raiser or a fund manager, and they say, hey, Aram, I love your deals. I love working with you. And I would love to not just write you a $100,000 check, but I'd love to tap my network and bring $1 million. And I'd love to be compensated for that. We can provide a safe infrastructure and platform for them to do that. So that's what we're offering versus, hey, just put it on here and we'll market it out to a bunch of folks.
Okay, good. So I can connect those graduating people to your platform. Okay, got it. Thank you. Because we do have some of those folks that want to do that. Okay.
No, appreciate that.
Thanks.
Sure. So like I said, so these integrations are super important. So for example, if you were to, raise capital and deposit in there, and let's say you weren't ready to deploy it, it would sit in a bank account on our platform and get 5% interest right now, right? So this is a fully we're not charging for assets under management, and these are just kind of more details than you probably need. But I just want to emphasize that a lot of work went into over 5 years, kind of building out this infrastructure that this fund of fund is ultimately going to be leveraging and resting on. So again, we also saw that, and these groups were coming together, creating joint ventures, investing in just about everything you could imagine, right? So yes, real estate syndications, but also investing in art, investing in, various, a short-term rental, or again, anything under the sun. But real estate syndications were definitely a big part of that. And so we added some additional services, right? We added K1 tax services. We added distribution services, and then everything all the way through to dissolution. And again, this is just to emphasize this backbone of why we can make SPV fund of funds so turnkey. So where we're focused now. So currently we're focused on making, again, the fund of funds safe, turnkey, and scalable for lead sponsors, so syndicators and operators, as well as fund managers, the people that are raising capital for them. For lead sponsors, now they can scale their capital partner channel, right? So they want to work with capital partners. They love the idea that they can tap one person that can tap their investor network and bring $1 million check to the table, right? But how do you do that in a safe and scalable way? For fund managers, we're taking all of this back office work, all again, entity formation, banking, distributions, K-1 taxes, all of the cost and the effort that goes into that, we're taking off your plate. So you can do not just one deal, but multiple deals across a year. So you can scale this. This can become a business for you, right? And especially, or if you're someone that had so many people that are in this world have full-time, either W-2s, or they're a physician, or they're an attorney, and they want to, or they're retired and don't want to spend all their time here. Again, this allows them to do things in a way that's much more efficient than if they were going out and trying to do this on their own. So again, safely raise more capital for more deals because of Tribevest streamlined and scalable approach, creating SPV fund of funds via our tightly integrated lead sponsor partnerships. So that's another important part to this is we are actively going out. That's my full-time job, and partnering with lead sponsors. So across multiple asset classes, tons of multifamily value add, but also self-storage, mobile home parks, energy and gas, all sorts of different funds. We're doing lots of different partnerships, and that tight integration is super beneficial for the fund manager because we figure a lot of things up front. So if you just went and said, hey, I want to create an SPV fund of fund for your deal, they would say, great, just come back with your $1 million when you've raised that capital and you figure everything out on your own, right? Versus, oh, okay, you want to raise $1 million capital, you're in luck. I've got this great program. Here's how I support you with a sales and marketing program. So I'm going to provide you with, an editable presentation. I'm going to, or a pitch deck. I'm going to join you on your deal webinars. Here's how you can set up your fund-to-fund economics. So our lead sponsor, this is where I get into teams. So our lead sponsor partnerships are super beneficial to the end user, the fund manager, because we've figured all this stuff out up front for you, right? So, and when you're in the midst of an urgency of a deal, and I'm sure Chris can relate to this, you've got a matter of weeks, right? Where they say, great, you want to raise, especially if you're doing a single asset deal, great, you want to raise $1 million, you've got 4 weeks, right? And so all this stuff needs to happen. An entity needs to be formed, bank account needs to be open, your offering docs need to be created, because you're going to have your own GP-LP structure, which we'll get into, and you're going to need to be raising that capital as well. That's the hardest part, right? And so all this stuff, it's amongst the urgency of the deal. And so having someone that's at your side, guiding you through it, and a lead sponsor that totally gets what you're going through and is, equally invested in your success is really important. So again, the reason that so many people and lead sponsors and fund managers were getting into, again, overusing the co-GP model, or doing finder's fees or marketing fees, all these things that were, less safe, is because everyone knew the fund-to-fund path was the way to go, but there were lots of concerns. It was mysterious. They didn't know how to do it. They felt it was antiquated. There was this learning curve. There's this ongoing administrative aspect to it because, again, you're running your own fund and there's responsibilities tied to that. And so there's a lot of reasons why people were, shying away from it. But with Tribevest, now it's affordable, safe, turnkey, scalable. And we'll get into why, right? So as I mentioned, we've got this technology backbone. We've created these business processes, and we added a chief legal officer and his team to support us so we can create these offering docs for you. And one thing I want to emphasize, this isn't just a platform where you log in and then, you're left to kind of figure it out on your own with some instructional videos. When you create these fund of funds, you're assigned an account manager. We have a kickoff call and they're with you every step of the way, right? So they're helping you get those offering docs signed, to get those wires in. Again, you're kind of up against the clock there. So we're here to support you with a fully managed service. And so when I talk about an SPV for private real estate investments, like, what do I mean? So the SPV part is really, really important. So the sole purpose of this vehicle is for investing in a single pre-identified and familiar private investment, right? So we're talking about investing in one deal, and there's good reasons behind that. So, and we'll get into that. So there's also, it's its own entity with a single manager. So in this structure, you're going to be the GP. And you're going to be bringing in your own limited partners, right? So, and these are all passive investors in your deal. So what we're creating is separation between you and the lead sponsor. So you've got your own fund with its own offering docs, its own PPM, its own subscription docs that your investors will sign. And then you're going to be wiring a single investment amount onto the lead sponsor. And your entity is going to become an LP on their cap table, right? So this separation is really important and part of the safety. Again, because you are not, and you're being compensated completely within this vehicle. So the lead sponsor is not compensating you directly. They're just offering you a preferred term for bringing a certain level of investment to the deal. It's typically around maybe $500,000, maybe $1 million plus, but whatever that threshold is, they're offering you a preferred term, and then you're turning around and leveraging that preferred term that you're getting for your, let's say, $1 million fund to fund, and then you're offering something that looks more like a retail type term to your investors. And the delta between the two is where you're being compensated. So again, you're going to have your own operating agreement, your own PPM, your own subdocs, and that's what you're being compensated because you are, you've got responsibilities as the fund manager. You're doing due diligence, you're formalizing, you're doing all this work. But the good news is it's all through the help of Tribevest. So we're taking most of this off your plate, but you're creating the SPV, the docs. We also file all your exemptions. So there's blue sky filing exemptions that need to happen with this SPV fund of funds. Every state that your investors are in, we need to file an exemption to keep you, away from being a registered investment advisor. And so we're filing those exemptions on your behalf. Like I said, there's all these things that need to happen, but Tribevest is taking care of them for you. We manage all your distributions. So once, like I said, you're an LP on the cap table of the lead sponsor, your entity is going to get a single distribution back. We've built a cap table on our platform. We break that up and push it out to your investors monthly, quarterly, whenever those are coming back. You're also going to get a single K1 back from the from the lead sponsor. We break that up and send it out to your investors. So again, this is what allows you, because this work is coming off your plate, you're going to be able to scale your business. And if you, I've dealt with multiple fund managers that were doing this completely on spreadsheets, completely on their own, and we're trying to manage, 5, 6+ deals, and it is, it's completely unmanageable. When it seems somewhat manageable until the distributions and the K1s and everything starts coming back, and you've got 5 deals with 10, 15 investors in each. it just really is impossible to manage. Okay, so what services, just to recap, does Tribevest provide? So on the setup side, your entity formation, again, completely managed service where we're working to do this on your behalf via our platform, opening up a business bank account for you on our platform. We're creating your offering docs, right? So we get the offering docs from the lead sponsor. We get some input, some information from you about the terms you want to offer, how you're compensating yourself, and again, bake those into what we disclose on your offering docs. We also do all your blue sky filings of state filings I described. And then again, you have this account manager that's working with you. You're going to we provide you with a soft commitment form. So you have a soft commitment form that you can go out and get your soft commitments from your investors. That all spits out into a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet goes to our account manager. Our account manager reaches out, gets all those documents signed, helping you herd those cats, gets all those funds wired in, provides the wiring instructions, and then we set up a cap table for you. On the back end, actually, it's funny, so we stay off platform on the front end. And what we found is this is like the most efficient way to do it. So we just have your investors sign their offering docs and we provide them with wiring instructions. We pool all that capital in your account and then we wire into the deal. And at that point, after the fund has closed, that is when we actually onboard your investors onto a simple dashboard. And that dashboard provides them with, again, visibility into where they sit on the cap table. That's where they connect their bank account to receive their distributions. All the documentation for the deal is there. And that's where they'll get their K1 annually. So it's very simple, but it's everything you need for your deal and your investors to get all the information that they require. So as I mentioned, and some of this is new, Chris, this will be kind of new for you too. So we're, again, a startup evolving quickly. And yeah, so we're constantly kind of improving on this. So every time, I think as a fund manager from deal to deal, you'll see improvements. So one thing we've recently implemented, as I mentioned, this is a completely managed service. So something, again, Chris, you didn't experience, but now you're going to come in and to our project management platform, and you're going to have a lot more visibility into exactly where you are at each stage, right? So yeah. Once you've dealt with the lead sponsor and you've agreed upon how much fund, capital you're going to raise for them, you're out getting your soft commitments. You're going to talk to me about how Tribevest works and what the next steps are. Then you're going to be introduced to an account manager. They're going to bring you into this project management software. And you're going to have, again, visibility to each step, right? So you're going to provide us with some information on a fund manager worksheet so we can file that LLC, open a bank account, and do your offering docs. So you're going to see when's that done. You're going to see, we're going to keep tabs on where you're at with your soft commitments. You're going to have your kickoff call. Again, all the various steps, you're going to have visibility into where you're at because we're working with you to march towards that same funding date, right? So that lead sponsor is going to tell you, hey, I need your funds in by March 30th, right? So your account manager and our team are working in parallel with you to make sure that you get to that March 30th date successfully, right? So super important, like what do you need to know? So you're going out and you say, I want to raise capital and I'm going to create an SPV fund to fund with Tribevest. There's really two paths. As I said, we love partnering with lead sponsors so we can figure out a lot of this stuff up front that makes it smooth and easy for you. But at the same time, we can work with almost any lead sponsor out there. So if you were to come and say, hey, I've got a deal, I've got a lead sponsor that I really like, that I'd like to work with, Branden, can you, talk to them and partner with them? We can do that, and we can spin that up quickly, and it's pretty straightforward. But here's from your perspective as a fund manager talking to a lead sponsor, here's the things you're going to want to know. And maybe I'll put this to you too, Chris, maybe as one of the follow-up kind of questions in conversation is maybe some other, these are 1, 2, and 3. Maybe you can at a 4 or a 5. So fund-to-fund economics. And Chris, I think you had the pleasure actually of working, I believe, with a sponsor that had this completely figured out up front, which is
Yeah,
super beneficial, right? So
absolutely.
the fund-to-fund economics, right? So as I mentioned, that you're not being compensated directly by the lead sponsor. You're not a part of the GP promote, right? So you are being compensated because you're getting a preferred term, right? So you're getting a preferred term, a different pref, a better split, because you're bringing $1 million to the table, right? And this can vary and look different. It can, but the key is you need to understand what that preferred term is, right? And then the lead sponsor would and should help you understand how you put together your fund-to-fund economics. And this is something that we help with as well. So we do this up front with our lead sponsor partners, but if you brought a deal and a lead sponsor to the table, we could help them, understand how this works and help you create this as well. But ultimately, the way you're compensating yourself is really, there's a couple different ways, right? So you've got this preferred term, and so now you're going to turn around and offer, something that looks similar to the retail term that, a $50,000 or $100,000 investor is getting with the lead sponsor's deal. And, you can charge a couple different things. The most common is an acquisition fee up front. So it's usually about 2%. So if you're raising $1 million, you can charge $20,000 up front. And this allows you to, again, compensate yourself for the work that you're doing on the front end of the deal. You've set all this up and you've got some costs that you need to cover. You can also do an annual fund management fee. So that could be maybe 0.5% annually. Some people do this, some people don't. And then finally, the majority of your compensation is going to come on the fund-to-fund promote, right? So when we talk about the fund-to-fund economics, let's say you're doing $1 million fund-to-fund, that fund-to-fund is going to have its own pro forma that's going to go, let's say, over to multifamily value add deal over 5 years. And so you can see how is the what are the projections for that $1 million fund-to-fund? What, for example, is a $100,000 investor within that fund-to-fund? What do those projections look like? What does the fund manager's compensation look like? And at the end of the day, and why, again, back to why it's great to work with the lead sponsors, is when you're talking to them and they've done the work that we suggest, that we recommend, they can say, hey, if you bring $1 million to the table, here's what your compensation is going to look like. And you're going to make, based on projections, 10% of what you raise. So if you raise $1 million, you're going to make $100,000. We see typical returns around 7 to 12%. Sometimes they're higher, but you got to just keep in mind, there's lots of variables in this, right? All the structures are very different. How long does the deal go, right? Are they going to exit in 3 years or 5 years or 18 months? There's lots of different factors in there, but it's end of the day, super important to understand that, and also understand how are your costs going to be covered, right? You'll see we've got some very affordable costs, but there are costs that you need to consider, and they need to be covered by the fund. So two allocations, how much, and this is kind of all part and parcel here, how much are you expected to raise? How much what's the preferred term that you're going to get? What's the are there specific timing or deadlines associated with this? So usually in a single asset syndication, the timelines are so tight that it's going to open and close very quickly. But sometimes if you're raising on behalf of a fund that maybe has longer terms, they may determine that, hey, we're going to allocate this $1 million to you and this preferred term to you, but it's going to be, there's a finite timeline to it. You need to raise within 60 days or 90 days, or this preferred term's going away. Because from their perspective, they can't have these preferred allocations out there for extended periods of time with no idea if you're actually going to raise for them or not. So anyways, that's just something to understand up front. Is there any specific timing, or deadlines associated? What happens if you aren't able to meet the agreed upon goal, right? So if this is your first time doing this and you never raised capital, anyone that's raised capital will tell you it is difficult. It is challenging. If you think you can raise 500,000, you can, you're probably more likely to raise 3. Whatever. And again, more power to you if that's not the case, but it is difficult. And so it's just good to understand if someone says, hey, I'm going to raise 500,000, and they say, great, you're going to get this preferred term. What if you don't? Right? How does that work? So you want to be able to understand from the lead sponsor what happens if you don't meet that goal. And then again, the preferred terms, again, usually it can either be a part of the PPM. So they've already baked in, maybe they got an A, B, and C share class, and you're going to get that A class for $1 million plus check writers, or they might not have it as part of the PPM. They say, okay, we're going to provide you with a side letter that discloses that preferred term. Sales and marketing, again, super important that you're supported in your efforts, right? So you're going to go out and pitch your investors this deal. All the information is coming from the lead sponsor. They have pitch decks, they have deal webinars, videos, data rooms, all set up. How are they supporting you? So again, with our partners, we're making sure they've got all this set up beforehand. If they're not a partner yet, again, introduce them to me and I can talk to them about this stuff. Or if not, you're going to want to ask some of these questions, right? Can you support me with an editable pitch deck? Are you going to join me on my deal webinars? Can you provide me with a video to join me on my deal webinars? All those sorts of questions, because you want there, as much as you're selling yourself, you are selling this deal and you are selling this lead sponsor, this operator, their track record, super important. So make sure you're getting that information. So $1 million question, or the $5,000 question, how much does it cost, right? So big part of making this scalable is making it affordable, right? So if you were to go out and just create a fund to fund on your own, probably costs around $15,000 if you just went to an attorney, a securities attorney. We do this for $5,000 up front. That includes up to $1,500 of your Blue Sky filing fees. So like I mentioned, Blue Sky filing fees are done on the state level for every investor. So for every state that an investor comes from, we need to file an exemption, right? And that can be anywhere from $200 to $1,200, depending on what state you're in. So we cover up to $1,500 in this price. Anything that goes over that, you're going to be just charged at cost. Now, we'll have a conversation if we're talking about you going out and raising. We'll get an understanding for maybe where your network is, where you think investors are going to be coming from. And so you'll be aware of kind of those costs, or we'll be monitoring it as you're getting your soft commitments. Because one of the soft commitment questions is, what state do you reside in to your investors? Ongoing cost. So as I mentioned, all of this is fully managed service. All of this is included. There will be no cost, no surprise costs in year 2, year 3, year 4, right? So what this allows for is when you're putting together your fund-to-fund economics and you're determining how your costs are going to be covered, that this is, set in stone, right? There's no, but if this happens, then this happens. This is going to trigger this cost. So that's really a nice thing about these SPV fund-to-funds. It goes up again, depending on the number of members. And one of the main reasons is we're doing all your K-1 taxes for you, right? So each individual investor, there is an account. We have an accounting partner that we get billed by, and there is a cost for those individual K-1s. It's a hard cost. So again, these have to kind of scale up as we do this. But again, all of this is turnkey, so you're not scrambling at the end of the year trying to figure out how you're going to break up this K1 and get it done. It's all baked in for you. Your distributions are going to go out in a timely manner. And another thing that's important here is to keep in mind, not only is it done for you, but you're building, again, a reputation as someone that gets stuff done on time. I got not only as an investor, I worked with Chris. He's an awesome fund manager, brought me this great deal. I got my distributions on time. I got my K1s in a timely manner so I could do my taxes. And it was a great overall professional experience. When I was onboarded, I got my offering docs signed seamlessly, wired my capital in. All those things are important as you're out building a reputation in the marketplace and building your investor network. And we're with you all the way through to dissolution. So again, in terms of a fund manager, next steps, how does this all kind of play out? One, you want to, obviously be talking to lead sponsors about deals, figure out how you are going to, structure and negotiate those preferred terms. We would have you, come to us. We talk about a fund manager worksheet. We need to understand, do you have one thing that you would need, or we would recommend, is that even as an individual, or if you're working as a partnership, that you have an existing management LLC, right? So this SPV fund to fund, it's going to have its own entity, its own LLC, but it's just specific for this fund to fund and the deal. You also, as the manager, you can come in as an individual, but as we all know, it's always beneficial to protect yourself with an extra layer of an LLC. So if you're an individual fund manager, you probably want to have, CP capital, whatever that looks like, or if you have a partnership, then you guys want to create, or Red Fox, you want to have that set up and ready to go. We can help you with a soft commitment form. You're pitching your investors. We're going to enter you to an account manager. Another important kind of tidbit here, one of the big questions that you want to ask your investors, as I said, there's a lot of urgency when you're mid-deal, right? So, are you coming in as an SD IRA? Are you coming as an entity? Knowing that up front will help you kind of get ahead of things and speed things up. I'm just looking at the clock, so I'm seeing we're out of time. So, so all these steps, again, we make it super easy and turnkey for you. I do want to have at least 10 minutes for some Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious what you guys are doing, so I'll pause here.
For sure, Branden, thank you so much. We have time, so don't feel rushed. And I just have to say, everything that you went through, I'm just like I'm over here smiling because you talked about, one of the last things you just talked about was the idea of professional experience. And think about it, whether you are a sponsor or you are a fund manager, that customer experience that you're providing for your whether your network of fund managers who are going to be investing in your deal if you're the sponsor, or if you are a fund manager and you are engaging your network of investors, of LPs who you want to invest in this deal, having that professional experience is tremendous. What do I mean by that? Branden hit on some key things that I have to shout out, that was just remarkable for me. The experience was and continues to be great for me. But having that dedicated account manager, how many of you out there who have done syndications before, or nearing the place of doing a syndication, and you are the one chasing down your investors, trying to get them to wire their funds or set up their accounts and all those different types of things. And while you're also trying to do all the things involved with being able to, execute the game plan and raise capital, having the dedicated account manager on your side, reaching out to those investors on your behalf, making sure that they're following up with them to complete their docs and to get their bank accounts set up. All of those things have been tremendous. Training, you talk about getting people set up on the portal. I spent quite a bit of time as a co-GP working through with the other platforms out there, getting people signed up on the portals, and the time and energy that it takes to do that. Well, they create a library of videos that the account manager narrates them through and gives them step-by-step instructions to do that. And if they can't figure it out, they're a phone call or an email away. Just a really remarkable services that are done, as Brandon mentioned, turnkey, that has been just tremendous for you. The communication has been great, and all the things that are going there. So then that's outside of just what I'm talking about in terms of just getting the core structure of what this is. So for those of you who are thinking about how do you scale your business, how do you what type of structure that you're considering, I think this is something that you give a strong consideration. So I want to definitely open it up for questions for anyone has out there. Feel free to take yourself off mute, throw it in the chat. I can read it out if you prefer that.
Yeah,
I'll hop in. I don't want to monopolize. I kind of ask some stuff up front. So, but back to me. So if I'm kind of thinking this as a lead sponsor, and I want to come in and play with you guys, because I'm in a place where we want to scale up. So we've done our average raise is $5 million or so we're raising, but I want to go do a $10 million deal, or I want to raise faster. And frankly, everybody hates raising money. It sucks. So I'd rather just share the wealth and get more people involved. So if I wanted to plug into your platform such that I could connect with people that have $1 million associations with their investor group, and would I come talk to you then, Brandon, as kind of a lead sponsor? We just talk and see if it's a fit, or what do I do?
Yeah, we can definitely chat about it. I'll set the expectation. So we don't really have a marketplace, so it's not so much like we have this stable. Our lead sponsor partners are typically building out that stable of fund managers themselves. The same sales motions that you're going through to find new LPs, you then just turn and direct towards fund managers. So I just got back from Raise Fest. There was 1,000 of them, right? So there's 1,000 people there that all are not just looking to write LP checks, but are looking to tap their networks and raise $500,000, $1 million plus for you. Now, obviously, there's a qualification process, just like anything. Like, how do we find the right ones? But that's it. Just what we've found is the lead sponsors we're working with, either they're dedicating some resource, either they're spending more time there, they're literally hiring an investor relations person that's focused on that channel. So that's where that's going. Now, that said, like I said, we don't have like a formal marketplace. We want to stay as a neutral third party. We've gotten feedback from both fund managers and lead sponsors that they like that we are neutral and not really playing one side or the other, and we're just trying to help everyone kind of grow in this world. But there's certainly advantages. Obviously, as you can imagine, if you're a partner of Tribevest and you have you're doing all the you're formalized how you help fund managers and understand the economics and make it super easy for them, and they've had success with your deals. When a fund, we do have fund managers like Chris or others that have gone through the process, and inevitably they will ask, hey, what other sponsors should I be talking to and raising for? And vice versa, right? Hey, are there any fund managers that are, really high quality, have high integrity, and, always raise when they're, when we ask them to, so that organically happens.
Great question. You're on mute.
Sorry, I included my email in the thing. If there's an opportunity to chat offline, maybe we do that and see where the fits are. Likewise with you, Chris. I think there's some synergies. So
for sure,
I need to drop though, guys. So I appreciate it. But my email's there, so please.
Thanks for your question, and thanks. I'll have your email. Well, I'll pass it to Brandon as well. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. Bye now.
What other questions do you have out there? I think it's also, while questions are formulating for folks, I'll speak to, some of my other experiences here. One of the things that, you talked about the K1 service and the importance of that, and, to the peace of mind that gives me as a fund manager to know that I have a team behind me helping to get all of these important administrative things done, so that I can focus on, what I'm scaling my business, my marketing, and, talking to investors, new investors, prospective investors, etc. You have to think we all have that finite element of time. And so when you are looking at scaling your business, finding ways in which you can buy back your time is really important. Having great partners and services and platforms, technology, if you will, that can help you scale your business, are things that that these are things that are really critical, in terms of being able to scale. And I'm appreciative of the fact that, this you guys are continuing to iterate on the platform, continuing to enhance the product and services, and these are just it's a great thing to be a part of. So I have nothing but just wonderful things to say about my experience that has been thus far, and, really appreciative of everyone. And what I'll do, as I know we're getting close on time. One of the things, Brandon, that we do, is ask. We put some of our guest speakers on the hot seat a little bit. So I'm going to do that in a moment. But I just want to ask one more time around before I do that, if there's anyone that has any other questions. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and we'll put Brandon on the hot seat with a couple of questions. And if not, we'll definitely make sure that, you can have his contact information so that you can reach out to him directly, via email. Brandon, we'll go ahead and do that. But actually, let's go ahead and do that before we get into the Q&A, or to this question section. Brandon, how can people get in contact with you before we get into the Q&A section?
Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat, but it's pretty easy. Branden, BRANDEN @tribevest.com. So yeah, please reach out. Love to talk to you about that. We're also actually, for those of you that have moved even into the syndication world, and Chris, for you as well, we are starting to put together syndication deals. So if you want to live a similar experience to the fund-to-fund experience with all that back office support, K1s, distributions being handled for you. But if you're doing a syndication, you're taking down a deal on yourself and have 10, 15 investors coming in, we're starting to talk to people about those as well. So
Awesome.
just an FYI there. But yeah,
Awesome.
no, thank you, everyone, and yeah, I'm excited to get on the hot seat here, Chris.
All right, well, here we go, man. Well, look, one of the things that me and my family enjoy doing is traveling. I want to know, what is one of the best trips that you've ever taken, and why?
Okay. Well, I'd say the probably the correct answer is the honeymoon with my wife to New Zealand and to Fiji, which was an amazing trip. But I'd say really the most formative was traveling around Europe about 20 years ago. When I was in my late 20s, I was able to travel for about 30 days all by myself. And there's something about traveling by yourself in different countries, and just just learning and growing, and frankly, like, kind of getting a little exposure into where I hope I end up again one day, right? With the freedom to travel freely around Europe and the rest of the world was, it kind of becomes a goal for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Now, you talked a lot about, all the cool things that you guys have going on at Tribevest, but, what's one thing in particular that you're working on these days that you're really excited to talk about?
Yeah, so obviously Tribevest takes up a lot of my time, and I'm a dad of 2 daughters, so I'm busy there as well. But I've got some side projects as well. I've got some real estate development things that I'm working on, kind of in my backyard, working on. Got some some friends, and we've got a property we've got our eye on up in the Santa Barbara area that we're starting to talk about a development deal. So super excited about that. Always looking for side things. I'm keen on a lot of, people are talking about buying existing small businesses as baby boomers start to exit and move on to retirement. So I'm always got my eyes on that. So I'm doing stuff on the side. Don't have as much time as I'd like at the moment, but doing a lot of things like that keep me excited and fresh.
Fantastic. I love that. And, let's talk a little bit about financial freedom. A lot of us get into real estate investing for that idea, or achieving that idea of financial freedom. But financial freedom means different things to different people. What about you? What does financial freedom mean to you?
Yeah, great question. And at the end of the day, it sounds cliche, but I think it's true, right? It's that the time to spend on the things you love and with the people you love, I think is really is cliche, but very true. I think we all have experienced when you're busy with your W-2 or busy with any part of your life. You see when you've got kids, especially, your life zooming by you. And time where you're in the midst of something, and yeah, it'd be nice to be spending a little bit more time, watching your kids grow up or doing some things that maybe you're passionate about. So that for me, I think, having financial freedom is, be able to spend time with those people and working on those things that you're truly passionate about. I'm blessed in that Tribevest is something I'm truly passionate about. Hopefully that came through today, but yeah, it's and that's what's great is I do get my worlds are all colliding in my full-time gig, but that's what it means to me.
So it's so good, so key to have that. The last question that we have for you is, when I always tell people I put a lot of time and energy into the name of this meetup. One of the things that was important to me was I started learning about this idea years ago about abundance mindset, and in that abundance mindset was this idea communicated about having a wealth mindset. So with that in mind, what does having a wealth mindset mean to you?
Yeah, great question. So many pieces to that. I'd say the one that stands out for me, and maybe specific to my background in the startup world, I think getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So I spend, when you work in startups, we're trying something new, when you're first writing that first big check as a passive investor, or creating your first fund, asking people for money, creating legal structures and entities. That's some uncomfortable stuff. So I think getting comfortable doing things that you haven't done before, that are scary. That's something I've had to learn over the years, and still, like, again, the environment that I'm in with Tribevest is we're constantly encountering things that are new and get you uncomfortable, but you have to find comfort there and move forward. So that would be my wealth mindset key.
Awesome. Well, Branden, look, you have given us so much value today. Shared some great content about Tribevest, your team, the platform, the services that you provide. Again, just for people that want to reach out to you afterwards, for those who are going to be watching the recording later on, and how can they go ahead and get in contact with you?
Yeah, so just please reach out to me via email, branden@tribevest.com, BRANDEN@tribevest.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, everybody who joined live. For all of you who are going to be watching the recording on YouTube later, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next time. Good night.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.